Hi class, I'm going to read to you Billionaire Boy by David Williams, chapters 16 and 17 today. The previous chapter we'd seen how horrible Mrs. Trafe, the dinner lady, had used Joe's money for plastic surgery rather than hip replacement. And it also ended up with saying something about Lauren being a bit iffy and we weren't too sure what she was up to. Any ideas what she might be up to? There was something strange going on here. Okay, chapter 16, Peter Bread. The witch is dead, sang a spotty little boy. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead. It wasn't even registration time yet, but already the news was spreading across the school like flu. What do you mean? Asked Joe as he took his seat in his classroom. On the other side of the class, he could see Bob looking over at him with a pained expression. Probably jealous about Lauren, he thought. Haven't you heard? Said another, even spottier little boy behind him. Spite's been sacked. Why? Asked Joe. Who cares? Said a slightly less spotty boy. No more boring history lessons. Joe smiled then frowned. He hated Miss Spite and her tedious lessons like everybody else, but wasn't sure she'd done anything to deserve losing her job. Even though she was horrible, she was actually a good teacher. Spite's been sacked, blurted Joe to Lauren as she walked in. Yeah, I heard, she replied. It's brilliant news, isn't it? Well, I suppose it is, said Joe. I thought that's what you wanted. You said you couldn't stand her. Yeah, but... Joe hesitated for a moment. I just feel a bit, sorry for her. Lauren pulled a dismissive face. Meanwhile, a gang of fierce-looking girls were sat on desks at the back of the class. The smallest of the group was pushed over in Lauren's direction as the others looked on, smirking. Got any pot noodles, then? She asked, much to the amusement of the gang. Lauren shot a look at Joe. I don't know what you mean, she protested. Don't lie, said the girl. You look different in it, but I well reckon it's you. I've no idea what you're talking about, said Lauren, a little flustered. Before Joe could speak, a young man in old man's clothes, entered the classroom and took his position uncertainly by the blackboard. Simmer down, please, he said quietly. No one in the classroom took any notice, except Joe. I said, simmer down, please. The new teacher's second sentence was barely more audible than the first. Still, none of the other kids took any notice. In fact, if anything, they started making even more noise than before. That's better, said the little man, trying to make the best of it. Now, as you may know, Miss Spite isn't here today. Yeah, she's been given the boot, shouted a loud girl. Well, that's not... Well, yeah, it's true, the teacher continued in his faint, monotone voice. Now I'm going to be taking over from Miss Spite as your form teacher and also to teach you history and English. My name is Mr. Bread. He began writing his name neatly on the board. But you can call me Peter. Suddenly, there was quiet as 30 little brains whirred. Peter Bread, proclaimed a ginger-haired boy from the back. A huge wave of laughter crashed over the classroom. Joe had tried to give this poor man a chance, but he couldn't help it but laugh. Please, can I have some quiet? Pleaded the unfortunately named teacher. But there was no use. The whole class was in uproar. The new form teacher had committed the biggest blunder any teacher can make, having a silly name. This is a serious point. If you have a name like any of those in the list below, it's very, very important you don't become a teacher. Now, it is actually important, is your name, because you are going to be called it 500 times a day if you become a teacher. The amount of times I hear you guys shouting out, Miss Ty, Miss Ty, Miss Ty, Miss Ty, Miss Ty. So thankfully, I don't have a name like any of these. Sue Doku, Tom Marto, Justin Case, Neil Down, Will Ing, Bob Head, Terry Dactyl, Claire Voyant, Mel Formed, Rachel Prejudice, moan a lot, her behind, I'm a hog, carol singer, dictate, Don Keith, Rhoda Camel, Robin Banks, geriatric, BO problems, Maya Bumreeks, Anita Bath, Sue Age, Marcus absent, algebra, Barbara Black Sheep, Kitty Litter, Merry Christmas, Jim Class, Doris Closed, Doris Locked, Wayne Deer, Dandruff, Humphrey Dumpty, Stand Up, Cliffhanger, Hugh Idiot, Lee King, Manual Labour, Ruthless, Willie Mammoth, Marsha Mello, Walter Mellon, Hazelnut, Luke Out, Stupid, Lollipop and Chuck Up. And they're all written like that, as a first name and a surname. It's quite clever that by David Williams, thinking up all those silly names. Seriously, don't even consider it. The kids in your class will make your life a living hell. Now, back to the story. Right, said the unfortunately named teacher. I am going to take the register. Adams? Don't forget Tara Morsalata, shouted a skinny blonde-haired boy. The laughter swept up again. I did ask for quiet, said Mr. Bread pathetically. Or Ted Zeke, hollered another kid. The laughter was deafening now. Peter Bread put his head in his hands. Joe could almost feel sorry for him. This grey little man's life was going to be in utter misery from this day forward. Oh no, thought Joe, we're all going to fail our exams. That was a funny chapter. Right, the next one is called A Knock on the Toilet Door. There are a number of things you don't want to hear when you sit on the toilet. A fire alarm, an earthquake, the roar of a hungry lion in the cubicle next door, a large group of people shouting "Surprise!" to you, the sound of the entire toilet block being demolished by a giant wrecking ball, the clicking sound of someone taking a photograph, the sound of an electric eel swimming up the U-bend, someone drilling a hole in the wall, JLS singing. Admittedly, that won't be welcome at any time. A knock on the door. That last one was exactly what Joe heard at break time when he took a seat in the boys' toilet. Rat-a-tat-tat. To be clear, that isn't a knock at your door, readers, it's a knock on Joe's toilet door. Who is it? Asked Joe, irritated. It's Bob. Go away, I'm busy, said Joe. I need to talk to you. Joe pulled the chain and opened the door. What do you want? He said angrily as he made his way to the sink. Bob trailed after him, munching on a bag of crisps. It was only an hour since he'd been eating chips like everyone else, but obviously Bob got hungry very easily. You shouldn't eat crisps in a toilet, Bob. Why not? Well, because the crisps wouldn't like it. Joe whacked the tap on to wash his hands. Anyway, what do you want? Bob put the bag in his trouser pocket and stood behind his former friend. He looked into Joe's eyes in the mirror. It's Lauren. What about her? Joe had known it. Bob was just jealous. Bob looked away for a second and took a deep breath. I don't think you should trust her, he said. Joe turned around, shaking with fury. What did you say? He shouted. Bob stepped away, taken aback. I just think she's what? Oh, she's fake. Fake? Joe felt white hot with fury. Lots of the other kids reckon she's an actress. They said she's in some advert or something, and I saw her out with this other boy at the weekend. What? Joe, I think she's just pretending to like you. Joe put his face next to Bob's. He hated being this angry. It was scary being so out of control. Say that again. Bob backed away. Look, I'm sorry. I don't want to fight. I'm just telling you what I saw. You're lying. I'm not. You're just jealous because Lauren likes me and you're a fatty with no friends at all. I'm not jealous. I'm just worried for you, Joe. I don't want you to get hurt. Yeah, said Joe. You sounded really worried about me when you called me a spoilt brat. Honestly, Just leave me alone, Bob. We're not friends anymore. I felt sorry for you and talked to you, and that was that. What did you just say? You felt sorry for me? Bob's eyes were wet with tears. Oh, I didn't actually mean that. What? Because I'm fat? Because the other kids bully me? Because my dad's dead? Bob was shouting now. No, I didn't mean... Joe didn't know what he meant. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a wad of £50 notes and offered them to Bob. Look, I'm sorry. Here you go. Buy your mum something nice. Oh dear. Should he have done that? Is money the answer to everything? Bob knocked the money out of Joe's hand and the notes fell onto the damp floor. How dare you? What have I done now? Protested Joe. What's the matter with you, Bob? I'm just trying to help you. I don't want your help. I don't want to ever speak to you again. Fine. And you are the one people should feel sorry for. You're pathetic. Bob stormed out. Joe sighed, then got back on his knees and started picking up the wet banknotes. Oh dear, sounds like they've really fallen out this time. That's ridiculous, said Lauren later with a laugh. I'm not an actress. I don't even think I'd get a part in the school play. Joe tried to laugh too, but he couldn't quite. They sat together on the bench in the playground, shivering slightly at the cold. Joe found it hard to say the next sentence. He did and didn't want to know the answer. He took a deep breath. Bob said he saw you with some other boy. Is that true? What? Said Lauren. At the weekend, he said he saw you out with someone else. Joe looked straight at her, trying to read her face. For a moment, she seemed to retreat to the back of her eyes. He's a liar, she said after a moment. I thought so, said Joe, relieved. A big fat liar, she continued. I can't believe you were ever even friends with him. Well, it was only for a bit, squirmed Joe. I don't like him anymore. I hate him, the lying pig. Promise me you won't ever speak to him again, said Lauren urgently. Well, promise, Joe. I promise, he replied. A wicked wind whipped through the playground. Ooh, that last sentence there. Wonderful. A wicked a wicked wind whipped through the playground. Good use of alliteration there by David Walliams. The wicked wind whipped. Now, why do you think Walliams has ended that chapter with that sentence? A wicked wind whipped through the playground. If you think of what's just happened and what you think your actual real thoughts are of Lauren, might be a clue as to what might happen next. Hope you're all well. Keep reading, everyone, okay? And we're over halfway through Billionaire Boy now. What can you see? We've only got that much to go. So any book recommendations? If you want to vote, let me know which books you'd like me to read next. If you don't want me to read anymore, I won't read anymore. So tell me that as well. Just say, Mrs. Ty, we've heard enough. We can stop now, please. I won't be offended. That's fine. But if you would like me to carry on reading, let me know what you might be interested in. Okay, guys, speak later. Bye.